This is the Michael Brian Show. Hi everyone, welcome back to the show. And today I'm joined by Jon Gregory, who's the founder of Vitruvian, which brings connected fitness into the home. So we're talking all things fitness and technology. Jon, thanks so much for coming on the show.
Thanks very much for having me, Michael. Let's get started.
So fitness is a massive thing for me and many other people. But getting to the gym can be very difficult for a lot of people. What was the problem that you convinced yourself that you wanted to solve?
I guess I have a number of stories, but the one I'll share with you tonight is, I'm a man I'm 46. I have three children. I've worked hard all my life, mostly doing desk jobs. But want to be a good dad and want to stay an active dad. I was a scout leader with my son probably 5 or 6 years ago now, and thought of myself as an active dad. Went on a scout camp with my son, and we did some caving. Went down a cave and had to climb up a ladder again. I thought I could handle that. I went down. And went down with all these, 9 and 10 and 11-year-old kids, and they all managed to scale quite happily back up this 20-meter caving ladder. And I had to go, and I couldn't do it. I had to be rescued. It was just like in my face, what's become of me? I've been working so hard. The middle age is hitting, and my body is decrepit. I've lost muscle mass. I've lost ability to do anything, and it was like I need to do something. So, out of that and a bunch of other thoughts I was having at that time of what could we do to throw technology at an efficient and effective way to stay well your whole life. Vitruvian was kind of the answer for me, which is a piece of equipment that lets you train just in the most efficient and effective way possible. So for me, particularly, I don't want to be Arnold Schwarzenegger down at the beach posing for the chicks, but I do want to be able to stay an active dad, and as I age. But I wanted a piece of equipment that my whole family could use, that I could use effectively, that my kids could use, my wife could use, that my mum could use. And that was, one of the instigations and one of the aha moments for founding Vitruvian.
So were you active when you were younger? Did you always have a bit of an active lifestyle?
Look, I think, I guess I thought I was a bit of a rugged outdoorsman type guy. I like surfing. I liked hiking, camping, and doing all those sorts of things as a young man. You get married, you have kids, you get busy in your career, and you lose sight of those things. And if you're not careful, you lose the ability to do them. So you need to be very actively working on that as you get older, which a lot of people know. You young guys, you can abuse your bodies when you're young, and you can get away with a lot of things. And you get older, it catches up with you.
Yeah, I can completely attest to that. I've been active most of my life, and it's easier when you're younger. Your body's a lot more resilient. You can handle a lot more when you're younger. But then as things get older, you have to take longer to recover. And I found that's the thing, especially for me, is my ability to recover allows me to feel like I'm more capable. Is that something that you found as well? Like if you sleep better, if you eat a little bit healthier, that can have a bigger impact than working really hard in the gym, let's say?
Yeah, certainly. I mean, personally, for me, as you age, you certainly have to be more deliberate about everything you do if you want to live a well and healthy life. When you're young, you can punish your body a little bit. You can party a little bit, and you can eat the wrong stuff and drink the wrong stuff and still be okay. You can't do that as you get older. I'd say the other thing I'd say on Vitruvian is, I have applied physics degree as the first degree. I spent a career doing kind of high frequency algorithmic trading, which was kind of cutting edge at the time. And like weight training, resistance training seemed like a bit of an anathema to me, that we're surrounded by technology. We're doing so many clever things. I was working in high technology environment, but I was just going to the gym and pushing around dumb pieces of metal like I was a caveman. And I just thought surely there's a better way, a more efficient way to do that, a more effective way to do it, full of data, full of engaging feedback. That was another kind of aha moment and another instigation to get off my butt and do something about it. It just seemed like there should be a better way. Turns out there really is.
It's interesting that you bring up data as well, because monitoring progress or just monitoring yourself, I've found that can be a big, big help. You don't have to necessarily push yourself every time you work out or exercise or do something that's physically active. But just by monitoring things, you might find yourself getting better in certain areas. You might find yourself dropping in some areas that you then want to put a bit more attention to. Is that a big thing for yourself as well? Like trying to get people to monitor what they do has been a massive part in people's ability to get fitter.
Yeah, I think it depends on what type of person you are. I would say probably 30% of the population at large is really into data. And that's a part of the engagement process that they're interested in. A whole bunch of people aren't, but a decent demographic, a decent proportion of people are just interested, curious. They're smart. They are like learning about their own bodies, and they like learning about. They like seeing data, make sense of how they are now and how they might get better. So it's horses for courses. Some people just love it, and that's a major piece of the content offering that Vitruvian brings them. But so if you're into that, sign up, join up, and we'll throw data at you. But if you're not interested, just don't look at it.
It's a very, very, very good point, actually. It's interesting how I can be obsessed with something, but then other people are like, why do you spend all your time tracking this thing? And what's the point?
Right.
And it's a weird feeling when there are some things that I don't really monitor all that much, but then there are things that I have to. There are things that I just feel compelled to look. Are there any key things that you found that are the best things to monitor when it comes to like health and fitness? Is there anything that you think is a real needle mover for people?
I mean, the obvious ones for me is for a particular exercise, you tend to get interested in what your personal best is, right? And if you tend to want to know what your PV and your bench press is, and if you're feeling particularly strong on a day, or you're feeling well rested, or whatever, you might want to have a go at beating that. And there's if you do, that's like super rewarding, and it's makes you feel good, right? That's one of the ways I use Vitruvian is to I don't have real goals as such to be stronger in every muscle group, but and stronger in general, but it's a fun little sideline that I certainly like to challenge myself on occasionally. What else might you like to look at? I think just your progress over time. Like the more you track your progress, you can see how you wax and wane over time, and that's really interesting. Like how your abilities to perform in a particular exercise or a particular muscle group. When you start tracking it and logging it over time, it's really interesting to see that you have plateaus where you really just can't really do much more, and you wonder how you hit these PBs of 3 months ago, and then you have these periods of where you just, for whatever reason, you're well rested, your diet's been good, but you can really progress quickly. So it's kind of fascinating to watch that and learn that about your own body.
Is there anything that you can think of that maybe you started to look at, anything you started to notice, and that you realize that it's a waste of time tracking it because it doesn't have that big of an impact? Is there anything you thought was beneficial but actually wasn't?
I'd have to think about that. Like, some of the data is interesting. It's interesting insight, but once you have that insight, you're not so interested in checking it anymore. So, for example, I might look at the velocity profile of how I do a particular movement, which is interesting, but not long-term particularly engaging, because I don't really, it's kind of interesting to know how quickly you curl and then how slowly you can reverse curl. But once you know that, you don't need to keep checking it. Maybe that's answering your question a little bit, maybe. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean it's an interesting point actually, because once you know that information, you don't necessarily need to keep checking it, do you? It's like people can get obsessed over things that once they know it, that's it. It's almost like once you get the joke, you don't need to keep hearing the same joke over and over again. Just hear it the once, get the joke, and then move on. Yeah,
that's quite right. I mean, I find these wearable, data-rich wearables like the Aura Ring and the Whoop Band kind of in that mold. I've tried both of them, and I'm like, they basically tell me I'm not getting enough sleep, and I'm like, I already know that. Thanks for charging me $40 a month to tell me that. I didn't. First of all, now that I've learned that, that's kind of interesting, but I don't need to be told it every day, and I already know that. So, thanks for nothing.
Yeah. It can be quite disheartening, I guess, if you keep hearing the bad news every day. You wake up every morning and you go, "Oh, not enough sleep. Oh, shame." And then you get up the next morning, "Oh, not enough sleep. Great. Thanks for that. Thanks for the repetitive negativity there. That's really helpful."
Yeah, that's right. It ends up you just get rid of the product because you try and live a positive life, not a negative one, don't we?
I must admit, I've become steadily more obsessed with monitoring versus testing or challenging myself. I found that just by being consistent, things tend to trend in the right direction, whether I obsess over it or not, which is interesting, isn't it? Like, you can track it as much as you want, but it's like, it's almost like, are you watching your weight? Yeah, but my weight's going up. So watching it doesn't really do anything if I don't change anything,
Sure. Yeah, sure. I think it's an interesting space, and like data is part of the story of connected fitness, and it's part of the story of what makes connected fitness more engaging and more attractive than traditional modalities. But it's not for everyone, and it's not the only thing. And it's a big deal for some people, not a big deal for others.
So what would you say was your favorite exercise to do? Do you have a particular preference?
I like a combination of exercises that lets me get, and this it's changed over the years as I've been using the equipment. I tend to have like little phases of things I like to do, and then I like to change it. But currently I'm in a phase where I just like doing a 5-minute workout every day in a way that's intense and exercises all the major muscles in my body. And I like to do that every day, and I like to do it kind of first thing in the day as a way to kind of wake up and get tension into my body. So that's currently what I'm enjoying. And that's a combination. That's like a suitcase squat followed by a shoulder press, followed by a suitcase deadlift, followed by a bench press or an upright row. So I get, just 4 major exercises, 10 reps, an algorithmic modality, so that I'm under constant tension. It's super effective, and it's like a slap in the face every morning, and I do it, and I feel great, and it's a great way to start the day.
So talk people through the movement, just for people that don't know. So suitcase deadlift is, if I'm right, the weight's on one side, then you would curl it somewhat to your shoulders and then press it. Is that how the exercise works?
Oh, so in the Vitruvian language, suitcase deadlift is just holding the weights in your hands and doing a deadlift maneuver to exercise mostly your hamstrings, and then I would do a shoulder press, or maybe say a bench press, to exercise my arms, shoulders, and chest, and then I would do a suitcase squat to exercise my quadriceps and back and shoulders a little bit, and then I would do an upright row to do the opposite and balance out the musculature from the bench press. So I hit major leg muscles, major upper body muscles, and a whole bunch of other kind of accessory muscles in those 4 moves. And it's not the only way to do it. It's not maybe the most complete way, but it's quick and effective, and one and done, and I carry on.
And do you go for a certain amount of time as some kind of interval Tabata style thing, or do you do like sets and reps with a rest period or a circuit? What's the normal format for you?
So for me, I really love the heart of Vitruvian, which is algorithmic training, which is weight that's constantly varying and adjusting to my own ability. So I do a mode called progressive mode on Vitruvian equipment, which loads me up to a kind of like a maximal eccentric or negative repetition, followed by just a constant tension, maximal effort drop set in the concentric phase. There's really nothing like it in traditional weight and resistance training, but it's a way of just putting your muscles under constant tension. And I just do it for kind of 10 reps because that's kind of how long it takes me to completely fail. And at the end of those 10 reps, there's nothing left in my muscles to do anything. So I move on to something else. And then I could repeat that process, but I just find once is enough currently for the way I like to use it. Yeah.
And a way that you would probably describe it is, because obviously there's a lot of research out there that suggests that the eccentric load actually damages more muscle fibers than concentric. So by loading eccentrically, you actually get more bang for your buck, if you will, per repetition. Is that right?
Yeah, I mean, for the biohacker nerds out there, which I put myself on the fringe of. There's a lot of actual proper research around the benefits of eccentric training, eccentric kind of maximal eccentric loading, and what that does to muscle growth and tendon growth as well. And Vitruvian is just unbelievably effective at doing really intense eccentric contractions. And I mean, when I made the first prototype, kind of over 2 years ago now, of the very first Vitruvian piece of equipment, I didn't really know much about eccentric training. I kind of knew about it, but had never really done it, never tried to do it effectively. And I just got this first prototype and plugged it in, turned it on, and coded up some routines to make it work. And I just started doing it. I'm like, and then after 3 or 4 weeks, I'm like, oh my goodness, this actually works. Like, it hit me in the face. In fact, it hit me in the mirror. Like,
hit you in the mirror.
I remember I woke up one morning. I'm like, I did not have muscles there 4 weeks ago. Like it was an amazing moment that I thought, like, it was a moment where I thought, we've done it. we've we've kind of cracked it. We've found because, and I've been using the equipment only for a month, and not really even very much. Just like testing, trialing, playing around with it, and trying different ways to use it. And I'm like, oh my goodness, what have we found here? We found this device that you can step on, use it in a way that's kind of almost doesn't even feel like you're using it, and just gets these amazing results. I mean, what have we found? And it's like, that's another part of the fun journey of Vitruvian is like we made full blown discoveries that we weren't expecting to make, which were not only is this a cool and engaging piece of equipment and efficient and effective, it's just got benefits that we didn't even know existed. So we made, these were really exciting early days of the company of like, we just have to bring this to the world. We have to unlock this for people because we've got a benefit to bring them. So yeah, look, I'm an eccentric training kind of fan because I've been doing it now fairly consistently, and it's what I keep coming back to because I just find it an enjoyable way to train. I find it a very effective way to train, and there's some other benefits that the particular way of using our equipment, what it does to your general coordination and muscle groups that we really haven't even told the world about yet. But I can't wait to bring it to the world because it's a different type of weight. It's not like the barbell you pick up in the gym, which has force, pulling that weight to the ground, but it also has inertia in every direction that you push it. Whereas Vitruvian cables only have force in one direction, going back down towards the ground, which means in order to do a movement, particularly once it gets heavy, in order to do a movement, and keep your movement smooth and stable, you have to work really hard with your mind and with all the other smaller control muscles that you're using for a movement to keep your hands and arms and limbs moving smoothly. And it takes a bit of practice actually to get good at that. Not too long, but so if you start training, maybe after 2 or 3 weeks, you'll start to find that you are much better at doing a bench press, like in terms of controlling and being able to do it smoothly. And that has flow-ons to kind of how you live your life, how you throw your kids around, how you in an affectionate way, not in a negative way. how you play sport, and how you how you tackle, how you move around in your daily life, because it's a very much more real world scenario, which is using your limbs and using your muscles to slow down or to resist a force in one direction. Because that's what it's like on a sporting field. That's what it's like when you're using a piece of sporting equipment. And with Vitruvian equipment, you can really effectively train that particular use case. And when you do, and when you feel yourself getting better, it's just a wonderful feeling. You feel kind of safer on your feet. You feel more sure of yourself when you're moving around, using your arms. It's hard to explain. You just have to get the equipment and start training on it, and you'll find it's there to be had. And I recommend you do it because it's great.
There are a lot of functional training methods out there, and when you mentioned that the resistance is in multiple directions, not just against gravity, that speaks to my experience with something like vibration training. So I don't know if you've heard of the power plate machines, they vibrate your body in multiple directions, and there's some sort of not so amazing versions out there, but there are some like really good versions of like whole body vibration training that has some effects on like tendons, and we can get a bit sciencey here, but Golgi tendon organs that are within the muscles that encourage them to contract stronger and react more, like I guess you call it intensely to muscle contractions. Like you can contract faster, contractions are bigger, and you start to push the boundaries of how muscles contract. And it's based on like strengthening and lengthening your tendons and things of that nature. That was the first thing that came to my mind when you were mentioning the multiple directions at the same time and how it relates to real life activities. So, what are your thoughts on things like that, like the ways that we can increase how our muscles contract? Because it seems like you're very passionate about it.
Yeah, look, I mean, if you ask me for my opinion, I say most of what else is out there is crap. If you ask for my opinion, I give it. The what we know at a high level about exercising your musculature is that you have to do it in a combination of duration and intensity, right? And if you work really for a long time but at a low intensity, then it doesn't really do anything. And a lot of body weight, ostensibly muscle training, but just using your body weight, I put in that category. And then the flip side is, if you do super high intensity, but it's so high intensity that you can't actually do anything, can't lift it, well, that doesn't work either. So you need a combination of volume and intensity, and it's skewed probably to the intensity level, lower volume, higher intensity. That's where you get rapid and a high benefit, or the optimal benefit. And there's basically no way around doing stuff that's heavy and approaching what you're able to do. You just won't grow muscle. You won't grow ability. You won't grow coordination unless you're in that kind of zone. So I don't give much time to
Other
body weight
stuff.
stuff, and yeah.
Yeah.
And we've got like weird techie stuff. There's a lot of bro science garbage around resistance training, which is weird considering just how much money there is in sport and the human body in general. The actual science is quite sparse and reasonably poorly understood. But that's at a high level what actually works.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean there's a lot out there, and I guess one of the downsides of research coming out all the time, changing the status quo ever so slightly, is people that are on the edge of what's sort of optimal for certain things, even though they were right, let's say 5 years ago, or even 3 years ago, or even 1 year ago, if something brand new that completely contradicts what used to be right, it can feel weird because it's not that they're wrong, it's that they're just simply not up to date yet, and
Yeah.
things will change as it's made more public, I suppose.
Yeah, it does seem a bit like that in human performance. Like flavor of the month is just doing 10 workouts a day, and then it seems like next year, well, the advice is just do one workout a week. It's like
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
hard to know, but really, anything is better than nothing. That's something we know categorically. So as long as you're doing something, you're ahead of the game. And the vast majority of the population of the planet don't do anything.
Yeah, very
So
true.
if you're doing something, great, go and do it. And then the next thing to say is really the best exercise is the one that you adhere to, because it's doing something consistently over time that is good, even if it's low intensity, long duration. If it's something you can stick to, do that. If it's high intensity, short duration, and you find that interesting and you can stick to that, then do that. So do something rather than nothing. And then the next choice you make is do something that you can do consistently and regularly, and do that. And that's how you get well and stay well.
I'd like to shift gears ever so slightly because you mentioned that when you were first putting together the prototypes and the first versions or iterations of Vitruvian, you had a lot of, I guess, lessons and a lot of moments where this had to be made real. You had to go ahead and do this. Tell us the story of that. Like, what did you throw together for the first iterations? What were the initial phases? You want to do this. So what were the next steps?
Yeah, look, I'll give you a little story, I guess. So I think my earliest memories of thinking about how to do this was back in 2008 when I was still trading. We had a gym in the back of our trading floor, and that was when when the markets were quiet, we'd mess around on the gym equipment. We'd have little competitions in the office to see who could bench press the most and that sort of stuff. And I just thought there's got to be a better way. Surely we can make equipment that kind of tracks our progress for us, that changes the weight for us. Surely that would be fun and interesting and engaging equipment, and it seemed like you could probably do it. So that was my interest. I did a bunch of sketches. I tried a bunch of Googling on how to actually do it. How do you do it? And it stayed for sort of 6 or 7 years. It stayed a bit of an idle interest. I'd pick it up occasionally when I got interested in it. I'd do some more reading. I maybe bought some parts and tried to experiment a bit. But then I thought, why would I do it? What have I got to offer the world? Like I can't, never made a product before. Not an engineer. I'm a physicist. Why am I doing this? Surely someone else will just come along and do it, and they'll do a better job than me. But I don't know. Then sort of 2016 came along, and I saw Peloton for the first time, and I'm like, oh, well, that's just a great idea. They've turned hardware into subscription, and that's just a ball-tearing business idea. I was looking at it as a hardware play beforehand, and I'm like, I'd put all this money into it, I'd put all this effort, I'd make a product, and then it would just get copied, and I'd spend a bunch of money and go broke. And it seemed like a bad idea. but
Yeah.
Peloton came along, and I'm like, wow, they're making hardware that's actually a subscription. That's a great idea. I got to do that. And then, at the same time was the rise of the fitness influencer, and I'm like, let's, can we put this together? Can I build a piece of hardware that lets you do effective, efficient, engaging resistance training in the home? And can I then connect you to your favorite fitness influencer or coach or whatever around the world to make the experience even more engaging? So that was the kind of like, can I put these two together, and would that be good, and would anyone like it? And I looked at it and I thought, well, I think I'd like it. I think it would be good. I think I could do it. I just got to do it. So that was 2016, and then worked part-time on it, doing proofs of concept, prototypes for a couple of years, and showed it to an angel investor, local angel investor, in late 2018, and he gave me $100,000 to get going, and I put in 100 myself, and we got going. And that's where I went full time on the business, and I'm like, yeah, I'm in, and I'm all in, and I'm not coming out until this is done now. And that was nearly 3 years ago now.
But it sounds like you've gone on quite the journey since then. And one of the things that came to my mind just as you were finishing there, Jon, was what are your thoughts around technology and, the ability to be active in the home using technology? It's a bit of a strange one because, we're reasonably inactive most of the time if we don't go to the gym. And then a lot of the activities that are in the gym, we've all sat down or lying down. And it's kind of like, well, it's almost like not being at the gym because we're doing a lot of
Yeah.
our things sat down or lying down, or so it's a very weird way of doing things. But then obviously you bring that into the home and people struggle to work out from home. People have this minimal obsession with technology and trying to bridge the two. My first impression is that technology can go a bit too far to the point where we're not actually active or as active as we'd be if we just, I don't know, got outside for a run or, throwing
Yeah.
things around the local park, in a positive way with the kids, right? So what are your thoughts on technology and where do you see this going?
Yeah. Like, yeah, I think about this a lot actually, because it goes to the heart of, I think, what Vitruvian and other companies are doing, and where kind of our culture and society is going at large. And I'm an adherent to what I would call good technology. And in my mind, good technology is technology that lets us be more human, not less human. Um, um, so, bad technology that I'm not interested in is technology that dehumanizes us and replaces humans. Good technology makes us more human. And that's the sort of technology that Vitruvian is working on. Technology that makes us better versions of our physical selves and makes us more human in the fact that it connects us through technology to people that we wouldn't otherwise be connected to. And connection is a fundamental human experience and right, even. So technology that enables a human to be connected with other humans and enables them to be connected with their own body and be a better version of their own body is great technology, and we want to be involved in that. Then I think the story of Vitruvian and other connected fitness products or smart gym products is the story of just the same story of tech disruption played out, at large in our society. And tech disruption is, to me, when you throw technology into a traditional kind of business environment or a piece of human endeavor, what's disruptive about technology is that it's just so much better in every way. And in the case of, it's not just, it's faster or it's cheaper or it's better. It's all three. And it's not just a little bit cheaper. It's 2 or 3 times cheaper. And it's not just a little bit better. It's 2 or 3 times better. That's what technology is doing to kind of everything. Is smashing value propositions and just throwing value at consumers in a way that is just irresistible. And Vitruvian does exactly that. So we can, with a single piece of equipment, just chuck so much value at a consumer and to a trainee that it's just kind of, well, you kind of have to join the network, because you can train not just you don't just save 5 minutes by training. You're going to find an extra hour and a half in your day, because you don't have to spend 15 minutes going to the gym and an hour at the gym and then 15 minutes going home and then having a shower. You can get the same amount of workout in 15 minutes. I'm not even kidding about that. I mean, we're smashing time, the time that you need to spend training, if you're interested in that. And then from a cost point of view, well, ultimately, bringing a piece of Vitruvian equipment into the home, it's like bringing a full-blown gym with every single exercise that you need to do into your home, which the whole family can use whenever they like, wherever they like. So the more people that you have in the household, the more cost-effective it gets. So instead of everyone in the household spending $40 a month to go to the gym, $140 subscription a month lets everyone use high quality content, high quality programming, high quality and effective resistance training algorithms. I mean, we're just chucking value at people, and at some point they're just going to say, "Stop! It's enough." Like easy boys.
Yeah, yeah. It's interesting that you bring up the family as well. The whole family can be more connected if they're all in the house training together, working out together, and feeling a bit more connected as a family. It's in one of the things that really sort of got me emotional about what you were saying is that technology making things more human, not less human, and you approach the, shall we say, the problem of connected fitness almost like the fitness is like one small aspect, isn't it? Because you've got the whole community and connection element just from connecting one user to the next user.
Yeah, I'll give you two actual examples of that. So I did a couple of weeks ago. I did a demonstration class at my home, and it's normally a class that you would do by yourself, on the TV, and you'd pump out a 10-minute class through the application or through our TV app. But there were four members of the household sitting around, and we all just took turns. We did one set each, and it was kind of like it's not even how the class was designed, but it was really fun. You'd watch my wife on there, and we'd all have a bit of a laugh. And I'd go get on and have a laugh. And then my 11-year-old son got on, and he did his best. And then my 16-year-old daughter gets on, and she beats us all. And it's just like, wow, that was fun.
Yeah.
And then in a completely different way, and how it organically connects people is two of my kind of dear friends who I used to work with, who I haven't seen for 12 years now. I've just bought them a machine each and shipped them to them. One guy's in Spain, one guy's in New Zealand, and I'm here in Perth. And we're going to be able to train together. We're going to be able to, share workouts together. We're going to be able to compete with each other and see each other on the leaderboard. And, pretty soon we'll have functionality in-app to be able to communicate with each other as well. And, via text. And it's just going to be, we're all super excited about it, because we're all kind of, we used to train together, and now we can train together again in this kind of remote or but very real and very physical way. It's just like, that's kind of priceless in a way. So I'm really excited about that.
Yeah, and just as a quick side note from myself, John, many, many years ago, I actually used to be a personal trainer. And
there you go.
When Snapchat came out, i.e., the moment when we spent more time online than offline, and there was a lot of talk of, I think it's augmented reality, where things are there on the screen, but they're not actually there. And there was a lot of talk of the fitness industry taking over with that. Like the trainer could be in the room with you, training you, but not actually there. i.e., you'd wear like goggles or glasses, and the trainer's in the room, whoever trainer you decide to choose. And it convinced me that personal trainers are not going to last long if that kicks off. B, technology is actually going to allow things to be easier. And another thing that really sparked my interest in terms of being, or at least trying to be, at the forefront of all of this, like trying to get involved with that. Like, I want to be the trainer that people pick, that people choose to train with through the glasses or the however it ends up being. I thought to myself, I've got to adopt this whole technology element to be able to still be relevant, to be able to still be an option for people to choose. And then I dove into the world of like self-help and self-improvement, and I realized that there was a heck of a lot more than just the physical improvement that I was passionate about. But it convinced me that technology was, as you say, making people more human if, as you very well described before, if you use it right and if you use it effectively, it can definitely change how we communicate and how we operate and get fitter at the same time.
Yeah. I mean, I take the slight minority report on that. I don't think artificial intelligence is ever going to replace the role of a personal trainer. In fact, Vitruvian is building a platform that connects actual real personal trainers to people who want to trainees. So we are wanting to engage with personal trainers, not replace them. But what we do want to do is build good technology which lets the personal trainer be exactly and do exactly what they are best at, which is and freeing them to just to do exactly what nothing else but a human personal trainer can do, which is motivate and inspire. Because I don't think, although theoretically you can make an AI coach and you can make your phone tell you to do this and you can do that, and you can make your phone do form correction analysis, and it's not engaging and it's not interesting, and I just don't think humans will get ultimately going to care about that. So I'm a big seller of anyone who's spruiking like, AI coaching. But what Vitruvian will do is do what technology does really well, which is like record data, present data, control things, and connect things, but not motivate and inspire. And so if we can let the technology do all the stuff that technology is good at and leave the personal trainer just free to be themselves and be great at what they can and want to do, which is motivate and inspire, then we've done our job, and I think we've built a great product. So that's how I see. I don't see us or any other technology really replacing human relationships. And the personal trainer and trainee is a personal relationship. That's never going anywhere. We're just facilitating it.
Yeah, I suppose in a lot of ways, it comes down to how you use it, doesn't it? You can scale the personal trainer to reach thousands or tens of thousands of people rather than the 40 to 50 clients that you see every week, because that's all you can do with your time if it's a one-to-one thing, it's one-to-one relationships as opposed to one-to-many. And I guess you can do both, right? You can do the one-to-many and you can do the one-to-one, and it can actually increase and improve the connection that you have. So it's been great to chat to you, Jon. I really enjoyed this, mixing fitness and technology and how you got your brand to where it is. It was a very, very fun conversation. Really, really enjoyed it. You're Vitruvian pretty much everywhere, but if people wanted to find out more about you, Jon, how can people learn and connect with you?
Yeah, just Jon Gregory. You can dig me out on LinkedIn if you're interested in connecting to me personally. You can, if you're just interested in what Vitruvian is doing, what the company's doing, we are at vitruvianform.com. And if you have any interest in what Vitruvian is all about, although you might not understand the word and know what the word means, it refers to a drawing that you probably know, which is a Leonardo da Vinci drawing of a man in a square in the circle. And that man is called the Vitruvian Man. And he is our inspiration for, building technology and products that are, strong, effective, and beautiful. And that's what we're all about.
It's been great to have you on, Jon. For those that are tuning in, if it's your first time, make sure you subscribe so you don't miss any of our future episodes, and leave a review if you enjoyed the show. If you feel the need to, tag us on social media when you do share it and tell Jon what you thought. It's been great to have you on, Jon. And those that are listening, I look forward to seeing you all again on the next episode.